Hi, it's Henry Latham, author of Why Your Startup is Failing, which is coming out in June. So please sign up below if you're a product leader or early stage startup founder looking to engineer product success and ultimately business success. But for today, well, first thing is there's a sort of like lightning storm outside. So if you hear thunder, it's not my sound effects or anything. Although that was quite well timed. Anyway, the topic for today is on strategy and how to differentiate your business and your product through through a strategy of differentiation, i.e., being different. Firstly, what is strategy? Too many companies, sorry, I'm quite distracted with that thunder. Too many people actually misuse this word and I think undervalue it because of some sort of messy connotations with it. So basically, strategy is generally conflated with goals, and it's not about goals, right? So in a company, generally we have a sort of vision statement, right? That big single goal. Let's say we are cancer research. The goal is to cure cancer. It's the big thing we're going after. Strategy is really our mechanism for attaining that vision, right? It's the direction we're taking to get to that big distant goal or vision. A strategy is, for example, as cancer research, investing in some sort of lab, right? Or let's think from example of mine with my company Scribe, the vision is to create 76 million calm minds. One strategy that we are working on is to build a desktop immersive writing application so that people can sort of get their thoughts down and find calm through that. Right? So that is one strategy that helps us create 76 million calm minds. Most people, though, when they talk about strategy, they talk about lots of goals. So it's like let's increase revenue or get more users. And although obviously that is something we want to do with a strategy generally, it is not the guiding light, right? That sort of thing that directs us. If you went to your team and simply said increase revenue, it's not quite clear what you're all doing and how well. Gives you some sort of autonomy, right? And you could find a million ways to increase revenue, but doesn't guide, how me as Henry, how am I working with the developer over here, designer over there, how are we working with other teams? Like what's the sort of big direction we're all moving in, right? So, but anyway, I'll get into strategy in a different video actually. But essentially it's that, right? It's the direction we're taking to get to this big goal. And one thing why is strategy important is that firstly, it aligns us, right? So rather than us sort of fizzing with energy and getting lots of stuff done that doesn't really have impact, with the strategy, we're aligning as a team and focusing all of our efforts on one thing that we've really thought through, right? We think that this thing, such as investing in building a desktop sorry, that was really loud. Such as investing in a paid desktop application, we think our assumption at the moment is that is the best direction we can take to achieve our goal. And one aspect of strategy that is really important is differentiation. Right, so when we are not different from our competition, it's very difficult to have success. Right, so we have these two concepts, and there's a great book called Blue Ocean Strategy, which talks about a blue ocean and a red ocean. When we are in a red ocean, red ocean. When we're in a red ocean, i.e. one with lots of competition, it's very difficult to get out of it, right? Because we're competing on price, who can provide the service for the cheapest possible. We're fighting a losing battle, or one where we have to just push for a decade, right? To just wear down the other teams and outprice them. So, it can work, and companies obviously do it, but it's not like a fun way to build a business, and it's not a sustainable way to build a business if you're just starting. Oh, man. This is slightly interrupting. Yeah, particularly as an early stage starter, right? How do you get that early traction? You can't compete really on price because you're starting from nothing. Your product's just not going to be better than the competition. So you need to find that thing that differentiates you. And what we do to do that and get into what we call a blue ocean, right, where there's no competition, is to differentiate ourselves, right? To find one thing that we can do really differently that other people are not doing. And one example I saw that just get up, actually, stupidly close the tab, is, for example, a company called N26. And what they have done is quite cleverly differentiated themselves on their landing page. Right? Landing page, if you want to visit this, is n26.com, is simply a hand holding a debit card with the statement, "The first bank you will love." Right, so what they've done very intelligently, and this is quite a big company in Germany that's growing massively, is that they have differentiated themselves from traditional banks, right? Traditional banks, what are the connotations of the word bank? Generally, it's negative, financial crisis, stealing your money, etc. Or it evokes these emotions of dealing with various letters and complicated financial stuff that people just don't want to deal with it. So what N26 have said, that they very clearly differentiated themselves just in the wording and simple things like having like a clear transparent card, like a metal card you can upgrade for. And what they've done with the positioning of the product is to say, we are not like traditional banks, right? So your traditional banks are all over here doing traditional bank stuff, like big, boring, pissing you off with lots of letters, and we're over here, right, with this sort of new, modern, exciting, young company. And actually, it's something that I've seen in my experience. I've seen a huge amount of success when I have differentiated myself with something. So, for example, in the build-up to publishing my book on essentially sort of product development and how to build successful products better and faster. Very interestingly, the articles where I will go into detail about a specific solution here, about what is the day-to-day of managing product, despite that being a thing really that delivers more value. Sorry, just getting another tab up here. Despite going into huge detail about how to build good, build products on a day-to-day basis, despite that being much more valuable to someone than me doing a critique, let's say, of existing ways to build products, the thing that resonates hugely are the articles where I clearly stand against something, right? So I have this differentiation. Not only am I different, but I'm against this thing. So same with N26, we're against traditional banks. And it seems counterintuitive, right? Because you're excluding people. So N26 are excluding people that use traditional banks or like traditional banks. I am excluding people that love agile design thinking and sort of, let's say, current popular product development methodologies. It seems illogical because you're deliberately saying, you people basically go away, you're not for me. But by putting a very clear flag in the ground, what you're doing is attracting a tribe to you, or you're attracting all of the people that hate traditional banks, or in my case, are pissed off with methodologies that they see as not working, or that they've experienced as not working. So you don't try and get everyone, right? You're just trying to get 1,000 people, or 10% or even 1% of any big market. And if we are talking about banking, everyone has a bank. If you're only getting even 1% the German population with a bank account, it's probably 80 million people, probably 45. It's at least it's at least 500,000 people just to start with, right? That clearly like your differentiated brand. Same thing with me, the amount of people that work in product teams, 1%, easily enough to sort of build a business around. And like specific examples, like here, as I said, so I write an article critiquing Agile, and Agile is the essentially the approach for building products based around like adapting to change, right? We work in an uncertain world. How do we adapt to change as we go rather than plan really far ahead and build something nobody wants? Secondly, it's really based on the principle of being user-centric, so making decisions based on what our customers really want, rather than what we want or our boss wants, because the product at the end of the day is for the customer. If it provides value for the customer, then at some point we can charge them for the product, so then it provides business value as well. And interestingly, is my approach, it's essentially based on Agile. Right? In the book, you'll see it's based on these principles. They make sense. But I critique it with titles such as A Critique of Agile Theory, Why Agile Doesn't Work. My critique is essentially about how theory doesn't translate itself into practice. But again, just by simply planting a flag and saying, like, we're not Agile, we're not the popular way to do things, what it's done is seen a huge uptake in article interactions, right? So one article, 25,000 views, another 6.5 thousand, another 3.5 thousand. Yet when I go on to the nitty gritty, right, the details of how to build good products, I see that drop to 650, for example. And again, despite that being the one that really is the value. So very interesting, and sort of backs up obviously a lot of again what you read in Blue Ocean Strategy, what you read from any product strategist, right, is this need to differentiate yourself. But I think it's very different when you see it and experience it first person. Because also, as I said, it feels like a risk. It feels like feels like you are excluding most people to please a small niche. But as an early stage startup, you need to plant a very clear flag for a very specific group of people, so that you can find that initial tribe, right? That what we call like early adopter community. The people that are going to start using a product when no one else is, because they really agree fundamentally with how you do things. And one specific technique here is, firstly read the book, because I'll go into detail about strategy and how to sort of differentiate yourself. But also one thing that you can just think of now or apply with your own business, or even ideas you have, is this concept of anchoring to something else, right? So for N26, we are anchoring or standing against the bank, the word bank. So it's like the first bank you will love. Again, it's taking all of the negative things that surround a bank, putting it over with the others, right, the old banks, and putting yourself implicitly being the opposite, so no friction. So all of the negative talks you have with banks, you're immediately creating with one single phrase the opposite emotional reaction. So smooth experience, easy to manage finances, etc. Same thing with me. It's like the frustration with Agile. Again, Agile in practice, not Agile in theory, is basically managers feel like, or product leaders feel like they're just getting more stuff done, like they're getting more efficient by following Agile, not actually having impact with their work, right? Because a lot of people have that frustration when I come along and say, here is something that is different, because it is a different way. It's a repackaging of this theory to actually make sure it works in practice. But by positioning myself against it, against, again, anti-Agile, that differentiation, immediately creates, again, the opposite emotional reaction for a lot of people. So that is it. I hope that was helpful. Quite a long chat about strategy. I'm going to have to walk home in that, so wish me luck.